Tara, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Hello, guys. Okay. We are trying to get Tara on here. Hi, guys. We're going to talk about the full moon in Virgo and Saturn moving into Pisces. Major shifts. Bear with me 1 second while we try to figure out the technical issues. Not sure why this is happening. So, Tara, if you're watching, I just emailed it to you. Try it through your email. Maybe try it on your laptop instead of your phone. I don't really know. We're live again. Sorry for the back and forth. I don't know what you guys can see or not see. We're trying to get Tara on, but we're having some technical difficulties. So let's see. So give me a shout out, guys. Let me know how you're feeling pre-full moon in Virgo on Tuesday, March 7th, coinciding with Saturn moving into Pisces, changing signs. So we're ending a 3-year cycle. We're moving into a brand new cycle. And at the end of the month, we're preparing for Pluto to move signs. Hold on, Tara's coming in. Hi. Well, it only took us, 11 extra minutes this time. It's pretty good.
Oh my gosh, now I have to hold my laptop up like this, though.
I don't know. I don't understand any of these technical
issues. It's gonna get tiring.
If to volunteer to be a technical advisor, let me know.
Oh my God.
Sorry for the back and forth. I don't know what you guys can see or not see. We're trying to get Okay. Hold on a second because now I'm echoing.
Oh, that was me because I had you on my phone because I was trying to get on my phone because that's how I set it up. Now I have to hold this, so that's going to be...
Yay, full moon in Virgo energies with Saturn and Pisces. Guys, we're having these events that are occurring on the same day. This is a big month. So we want to talk about it. We want to share. We're both feeling pretty... Like, for instance, I'm just going to be totally transparent. We had planned this at 6, and I completely zoned out, lost track of time, don't know where I went. I was in another stratosphere. And then at like 6:20, I looked at my phone, which was in the other room, and Tara said, "Are we doing 6?" And I'm like, wait, what? Don't know where I went. Don't know what I was doing. I hope that it was enjoyable. So,
I'm sorry. I'm not set up for the laptop, and I couldn't get on my phone, so...
Guys, you know what you can expect from me, and you're going to learn from Tara too, is just full on transparency. And
so really,
this is
not going well. Okay.
Well, you look beautiful.
gosh.
Don't
All
make
right.
me spit out my wine because it will happen.
You have wine at least.
So I'm at my parents' house, guys. I'm house sitting and pet sitting, and they left me 2 bottles of wine. I was like, thank you. How did you know that I would need that? How did you know? Well, welcome. Welcome.
I'm okay now. Okay.
So this is the first time we've done a live, I believe, on the Astrology channel. I was able to actually do that. So I was very excited because we've been promising this for a while and just really haven't had every time I would log on, it would take me to my other channel. So while I'm going to let you talk a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to the other channel to see if anyone wants to hop on. So I'm just going to do a quick share here.
Okay. All right. So the full moon in Virgo is happening on March 7th, so Tuesday, and it is happening an hour or two before Saturn moves into Pisces. So this is really an activation of this Pisces Virgo axis. And what do I mean by when I say axis? It's like the opposing forces of Virgo on one side, Pisces on the other. And Virgo and Pisces control the 6th and 12th house. And Pisces energy and the 12th house energy is about endings. This is culmination, surrender, faith, trust. This is our the cosmic sea, basically, before we burst forward into a new beginning in Aries. So we are very much in this like endings phase, but also beginnings phase. And what does Virgo teach Pisces? And where do we need to find that balance? So with the moon in Virgo and the sun in Pisces, as well as Mercury and Neptune, the modern ruler of Pisces. And then literally Saturn is going to be at 29 degrees, 59 minutes of Aquarius at the time of the full moon. But since the moon will still be in Virgo, that full moon energy will still be active when Saturn moves into Pisces. So we'll have all these planets in Pisces and then the moon in Virgo. And the moon in Virgo will be illuminating where we need to be discerning, where we need to be concerned with our physical, mental health, and where we need to be more present in the now moment. So this is about presence. This is about what steps do we take in our day-to-day activities and how present are we in those day-to-day activities? Because with a lot of Pisces energy, we're going to feel a little bit ungrounded, emotional, and the Virgo aspect, the Virgo polarity is helping us to ground in that energy. And so how do we care for our health, our physical, mental, and emotional health? And that's going to be really important over the next 3 years with Saturn and Pisces, specifically our mental and emotional health. I feel like in the collective sphere, people are really going to be feeling intensely emotional. Another thing about Virgo Pisces polarity is this is our axis of service. So this is really about serving the collective, serving others, and how we do that in the Virgo mansion is about serving ourselves. In the Pisces, it's like the more we could clear our aspect of the collective fields, the more that ripples out into the collective, because we're all a piece of the one. We're all a piece of the whole. So it's really important to clean out our physical vessel, our emotional body, our mental body. And so what does that mean? It means, with Saturn and Aquarius, this was about really deconditioning. So like, what are these conditions that prevent us from being our most authentic self, right? And then this Pisces energy is about how do we trust in moving forward in our authentic sphere. And we have to let go. Like, we have to let go of the old versions of ourselves. the old versions of the world, the old versions of our reality, our old belief systems, the old truths that we held. And there's a process of grief that we go through. And grief is not just one emotion. Grief is sadness, it's anger, it's depression, it's denial, it's all of these things. And so collectively and individually, we'll be going through this grief process. And then ultimately, it's about surrender and acceptance that we are no longer living in that world. We are no longer that identity. We are no longer that person that we thought we were. And so and then allowing, this is like really clearing it out, clearing everything out, allowing for that release so that we could have space and room for the new. So we're doing this on a micro level with this full moon and this Pisces season as we move into Aries season at the end of the month. And that will be on the spring equinox on the 20th. And then right after that, we have a new moon at 0 degrees of Aries. So that's a big shift. So 0 degrees is the first degree of a sign. And in a cardinal sign, it's a shift of season and it's a new beginning. So starting very new, 0, the full card, right, Sarah?
Mm-hmm. So, that's exactly, you just read my mind. That's exactly what I was thinking. And it is, and that's, I think, why people feel, I think the word is unhinged. Hey, Christine, I think the word is unhinged. Like I felt very yesterday and then into today, like I got a nail in my tire, right? And like I'm on vacation. It's like, just annoyed. Like I'm annoyed. I feel a little unhinged. And it's like annoyances at little things, but we're all feeling this. Like if you can tap into traffic, you're going to feel it, or tap into people's emotions. Everyone's searching for meaning right now. Like that's part of the Saturn energy, searching for meaning as we let go of this 3-year cycle that's really taken us on such a ride over the past 3 years. And we don't quite know what to expect or what's next. And anything's possible, which is exciting and scary. So the soul is like, oh my God, the soul is ever expansive. And the mind, the ego wants to shrink in fear and doubt because we don't have any clarity at this point. And we're not supposed to. And I think that's what we need to realize. We're not supposed to have clarity. We're supposed to be sitting here in this master school of great uncertainty. And, I just pulled some cards from the moon deck and I got path and faith. And it's like, how fitting is that?
Yeah.
And I thought as you were talking about that, the cards are validating and verifying everything that you were saying. Like, it's like I always see this as the ladder of ascension. And it's like, but what is going to be reflected back to us? We don't quite know yet. So there's a lot of mystery with Saturn moving into Pisces. Pisces is a mysterious energy. And for me, Pisces is this cumulative energy of the other 11 signs. And we step into Pisces and it's like, we're in the esoteric, we're in the subterranean, we're in the spiritual, we're in the subconscious. And you've got the earth energy in there, the fire energy. Of course, Pisces is a water sign. You've got the air energy and all the houses all mixed up into this 12th house of completion of karmic cycles, completion of who we were. So guys, we're literally completing who we were to become who we are meant to be. And we have to have faith that, this is a fertile cycle, that something is developing here, something is being birthed, but we don't know what quite yet. So if you've had relationships end over the past 3 years, or a significant relationship, if you've had health issues, if you've had like weight gain or weight loss, you've had job loss or money loss, or however Saturn, whatever house Saturn was sitting in, that would really depend on that. And then from there, you can see this is what I was moving through, how I was being transformed. And the lessons that you learned are going to be very clear here in the next couple weeks as we move signs. And you're going to be able to look back on that, I think, with some gratitude, even if it's mixed in with some anger still or frustration, there's going to be some gratitude because Saturn will depart. And as he departs, he will place a gift in that house. He's like, okay, here's the gift. And so like for me, it's been in my 8th house. For Tara, he's been in her 12th house. So, this is major. It's Scorpio energy, it's Pisces energy, 8th house, 12th house. It's money, it's transformation, it's death, it's rebirth, it's death of self, birth of new self. And as he moves into my ninth house and Tara's first house, you can expect completely different versions of us to emerge. And I don't think it's any accident that our paths collided a few months prior to this. And, we were placed into each other's paths by another divine sister, and who said, "Oh my God, you've got to meet her." And instantly we realized we were on the same path, we were on the same journey. And having experienced so much, isolation and frustration, and the depression and the angst that comes with the ego death and the dark nights of a soul, not one, but plural dark nights. And now we're witnessing the world go through this major dark night of the soul. And that's really what's happening. So we're excavating our truth as humanity. What do we really believe in? Saturn asks you, what do you really believe in? What do you want? And as he moves into Pisces, he's saying, yeah, but what do you really want? Are you willing to let it all out and really be yourself and be vulnerable enough to put it all on the line to get what you actually want? Can you chase after your dream, your true dream, not the dream that society says you're supposed to do or that your parents wanted you to do, but the dream that lives and exists within you? That's Pisces. So this is really interesting energy because traditionally Saturn's not really comfortable in Pisces. Hey, Serena. Welcome, everybody. We've got a few new joiners. Welcome, guys. So Saturn's like a little squirmy in Pisces, but I think Pisces is going to rule this transit. I feel like Pisces is going to kind of overpower Saturn in a sense. That's just the feeling that I get.
Well, I think that people misunderstand Saturn. Saturn's a really bad rap.
Yes.
So I would like to talk a little bit about Saturn, and Saturn being the traditional ruler of Capricorn, and Capricorn opposes Cancer, right? Cancer is a water sign. And so the Cancer Capricorn axis represents the mother father energy, the nurturing, the emotional security that we get in Cancer, and then the responsibility and the self responsibility and the creation of a reality that represents that security, that foundation. So we are talking about the foundation in Cancer that we could create the reality from. And what does that require? Well, Cancer is a very emotional sign. It's a very nurturing sign. And this is where we hold our emotions and our emotional security, and we seek emotional security. So Saturn requires that you have emotional maturity. It takes emotional maturity to take self-responsibility, to be the authority of your life, the author of the life, your creator of your life. So I do believe that Saturn is the emotional aspect of that is really going to arise in this Piscean energy, because Pisces is and Saturn in Pisces, this is requiring us to be the spiritual master. So like patience. We're in a liminal space. And I've had 12th house Saturn for the last 3 years, and let me tell you, it will push you to have that faith, to have that trust, to have that surrender. It will feel like everything's getting stripped away. There is multiple opportunities for surrender, for patience, because we want, when the things get taken away in our society, first of all, we're like, we want to find the new relationship before we leave the old one. We need to find the new job before we leave the old one. We're constantly like replacing before we leave. And Pisces is not about that. And Saturn and Pisces is not about that. That's like, we're ending and we're completing the ending. We may be able to take steps for a new beginning, but we're completing the ending. So 2023 and even beyond is going to look like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. It's like we're going forward with this Aries energy, which we'll talk about in our next video. But at the same time, it's like, what do we need to let go? And can we be comfortable, really comfortable with the unknown space, with this space in between? We don't know. Because even though Aries is new beginnings, it's the unknown. It's taking courage. It's taking self-agency, confidence, personal power to move forward. And what do we need for that? We need to completely cleanse and release all of that emotional baggage, whatever's in our unconscious, whatever's stuck in the psyche, whatever's left over, it's time to let it go. Or whatever we're holding on to.
Or even like the energy in the chakras. Like Whitney and I did a live last week, I think, and I talked a little bit about, exes coming in, like past lovers coming in, or friends. Like, and this is happening. It happened to me very surprisingly. And I thought, wow, that was a 7-year cycle that ended. And that was something I didn't expect. And I didn't even require that apology because I had forgiven and released a long time ago. But there it was on the table, and there was nothing behind it. It wasn't like there was no follow up where, like in the past, it might have been like, oh, I'm doing this as an ulterior motive. It was just like, this is my apology. Fantastic. That door is permanently closed and shut. And it felt really good. And I think a lot of people are going to be seeing this because we're having to close out. I'm sure on some level his soul felt that, like, we have to finish this. We're finishing this karma in this lifetime. Fantastic. And so you don't have to carry that into the next lifetime. And I'm just going to touch on this briefly, but for a lot of people, who identify as a twin flame or in a twin flame dynamic or relationship, that's going to be, I think, your ideas about that, just like Tara's ideas and mine. And some of our friends have been changing and shifting for the past year. I think a lot of people are going to follow suit and really free themselves from any sort of label that, boxes you in or makes you feel chained to something. The Saturn in Pisces is not about being chained. It's about freeing yourself, even though, like, within the confines of some restraint, but freeing yourself ultimately. So at the end of these 3 years, you will feel completely freed from the previous 3 years. And I don't think this is a feeling that many of us have actually felt before. I feel like this is novel energy that's coming in. It's very fresh. It's very new. And so we don't quite know what to make of it or what to do with it on a human level, even if the soul is, you know, ecstatic. The soul's like, oh my God, this is so liberating. But the human self still has to cope with the losses that you may have endured from Saturn's last transit. So, I'm probably a little harsher on Saturn energy than you are because I don't know. I just feel like I got hit really hard over the past year with Saturn in my eighth. And it's funny because I predicted what was going to happen. And then I had to just full stop surrender. It was a full stop surrender into my identity changing, the death and rebirth cycle, the changing of my business, down to the name of the business, how I do, what I do. And I had there wasn't an option there. So I know you guys have felt this in your own way, in your own life.
Someone said Saturn's kicking my ass.
Is that Serena? Hang on. My North Node
Where
is
is your
Pisces.
Saturn?
Saturn is kicking my ass. My Chiron is in Aries. Yeah.
Well, Chiron and Aries, and I think we talked about this. So what's been going on? It depends on where your Chiron is. So what's happening in Aries this month, especially last week and even into this week, is that Jupiter, Venus, and Chiron have all come together, and so they're between this 11 and 14 degree mark for like a couple of weeks. And what is this showing us? So Aries, we're like first sign of the zodiac. This is the spark forward, the new beginning, right? The seed is sprouting. Our move into spring. And
Strategy. We're strategizing.
yeah, so
Strategy.
we are, and we're looking to say, okay, do we have the courage to move forward now? Because this is going to be a completely new space. This is totally unknown, and this is what I'm saying. Yeah. Because it's totally unknown and we're moving into a completely new cycle, this Pisces energy being so strong with 2 out of Saturn and Neptune going to be in there for the next few years still, like Neptune still. And we're like in this massive like letting go collectively, and we're going to feel it more with Saturn, because Saturn, we feel more. This is our physical reality space. So that's why it seems so intense when Saturn moves signs. That's why we have this intense reaction to the Saturn return or Saturn opposition or Saturn changing, shifting. We need to, or do we have personal power? Do we have the courage? Do we have the confidence to move forward? That's what Chiron is pointing out. We need to heal the spaces where we don't, where we have capitulated to the rules, the conditions that society has placed on us, and we have not confidently moved forward in our own direction. or pioneered our own way or took a leap into those unknowns. And Venus being there, it's like our values and our sense of worthiness. Like, are we worthy enough to take this new beginning?
Yeah.
And there's some healing needed around that. And Jupiter is like expanding all this energy and saying we can move forward abundantly with courage, with this stepping into this unknown place. And so we're doing this dance of, okay, as these endings are happening, it's like in Aries, there's this healing, also an opportunity and a support for this healing to happen with Chiron and Aries. So,
and Jupiter's in Aries until May,
courage.
right?
What?
Jupiter's in Aries until May, right?
Yes, and then we move. Jupiter moves into Taurus, and
Right.
so the North Node and Uranus are in Taurus. So Jupiter will meet both of those. Well, first off, the North Node.
So that's our destiny. That's that destined path that the collective energy is taking, that we are taking as a society, as a group, as a collective, where we're headed. And Jupiter's fortuitous, it's like the great benefactor. Jupiter is expansive energy, abundance, magic, opportunity. So I think that this is just, I wasn't sure I believed in this idea of the age of Aquarius, because studying traditional, Hellenistic astrology, they don't really believe that that's what's happening necessarily. But I just had to look at it with like, what is happening? What is actually happening? What am I seeing? What am I sensing? What am I feeling? And I feel like 1000% that's what we're stepping into with this month on March 23rd, with Pluto moving into Aquarius. That's the official. I mean, there'll be a few back and forth moments until 2024, but this is the official step into the brand new space that humanity has been preparing for. So we've been in this prep mode for 3 years, guys, and that's why it felt like start, stop, start, stop. And as Tara said, we're still going to have some of that start, stop, but with more more kind of in our step, more power, more clarity. So even if it's like back and forth, I feel like we're going to be able to appreciate it because we know why it's happening. And it might be wherever Saturn is going to hit with this 3-year transit will be that area of life that needs to transform for you, the area of life that needs to be looked at. And again, it's our worth, it's our value system, it's our ability to feel like we are worthy of receiving. And I don't think there's a single person in the world who can say, "Oh, I'm 100%, self-confident all the time." It's just not where we've been. It's where we'd like to say we are, or where we're, aspiring to be, but I don't think that we've been there, not for an extended period of time anyway. I think there's a lot of false security and false ego and false identity, but not a real solid sense of self.
Well, we haven't been here collectively ever. So we're at this time, whether you call it the age of Aquarius or not, it's very clear that we're at an accelerated evolutionary stage of our human development, our human race. And so we are moving into a phase where we've never been. And so this is where I say this Saturn and Pisces and this emotional and spiritual maturity, can you integrate patience, like being comfortable with the uncomfortable, like being comfortable in grief, acceptance, acceptance of the way that things actually are. And so when we think about a big transit like this, we think about the opposite sign, and that is Virgo. And so this full moon, it's so synchronistic. I love how astrological things happen. It's always like, okay, we're moving through this cycle, this pattern. I love patterns. So that's why I love astrology. It's like all patterns, right? It's all patterns of energy. And so we have this Pisces season. We have this last full moon of the astrological year, full moon in Virgo. And then one hour and a little bit later, Saturn moves into Pisces for its like almost 3-year transit. So this is like a major thing that's happening. And so we look to Virgo to like balance out that Pisces energy. And so we want to be sure that we're taking care of our health. This next 3 years is going to be about what are you doing for your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, and your spiritual health. And so, and what daily things are you doing? What steps are you taking? And also, how can you be discerning discernment is a big one. Discerning which direction to go. And so let me just talk about the aspects this full moon is making. So we have Mars in Gemini at 21 degrees, the moon and sun at 16 degrees. They're in mutable signs. So we have moon in Virgo, sun in Pisces, and then Mars. And this is a T square. So there's a tension point. So which direction do we move? Okay, well, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and so is Virgo. Mercury is in Pisces, your intuition. Because Mercury is not particularly strong in Pisces. Mercury likes to be logical, left brain. And in Pisces, this is about your intuition. And so how do we really get to our intuition? We have to be clear in our mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies, and as well as our physical body. We have to get still. We have to get silent. That Pisces energy, that 12th house energy, that Mercury in the 12th house or in Pisces is about stillness. It's about contemplation, meditation, getting quiet, inner retreat, silence.
The cards are so on point right now. Sanctuary. Like, this is just, you can't make this shit up. Like, every time I kind of doubt the cards, it's like this happens. And yeah, I mean, it's finding that sanctuary within self. Something that I'm seeing a lot of on social media, and I only have Instagram, but what I'm seeing is this idea that like a beauty, and I think this is that Venusian energy that's been playing out in the skies that you were talking about, Tara. And it's this idea that women can't age. Like, we're not supposed to age. And there's an actress from Game of Thrones, beautiful, I can't remember her name, but she almost died several times. She had like brain aneurysms or something. You guys will know who I'm talking about. And she's, I think, in her 30s now, and she's being shamed for aging and not using filters and looking like a normal 35-year-old would look. And their comments there were so incredibly powerful and uplifting. It's like women and men saying, I don't understand. Like, we've become so accustomed to filters and to Botox and to like, like fixing ourselves, injecting ourselves. And we've forgotten what it's like or what it looks like for women to actually age, and regardless of what you decide to do, this is not like it's not like this is good, this is bad. It's just, if you decide to do that, great. But if you decide not to do it, that should be great too. And this acceptance of aging as a natural process of being human, and the shaming, I think we're going to see the shaming being removed from society because women aren't going to tolerate this. And I think more women are going to move towards aging naturally, or at least more naturally. Or there's going to be, I think, technologies that come about that'll be more natural in nature, because we're really moving towards like away from medicine as healing us or fixing us, and towards something that's actually going to heal us really at the root and at the core. And that's that Virgo energy also, health and healing mixed in with the Pisces.
Purification. So like we're injecting ourselves and putting on ourselves and like doing all this stuff that's like very toxifying versus purifying our physical vessels. So I think that with Pluto's move into Aquarius, we're going to get into a lot of the technology, a lot of the AI, like everybody looking the same. What I'm noticing, and even with the filters, they're like very much more AI. Like, and so people look really, really, really weird. So we're going to see a lot more of that. That's probably one of those things that's going to really come about.
But I think we're going to see just as many people push back against that. And like, I think maybe there'll be, two schools of thought about it. This is amazing. This is incredible. And the other people that go, wait a minute, I don't want a robot cleaning my house, or I don't want to put a filter on. Like, I've never put a filter on my YouTube videos. I don't think so. And if I have, it was like fun and playful because I carried it over from Instagram. I don't know, but I didn't intentionally do it because I feel like that's so important that people actually see me. Like, this is me. And what you see now is what you're going to see in real life. And I've never felt the need to like throw on makeup for videos. Sometimes I do. Most of the time I don't. It's great. When I do, I feel great. And when I don't, I should be able to feel just as secure and not putting on makeup. And that's something that like stepping into my 40s, I was just like, I stopped buying makeup. And now I'm kind of getting back into it where I'm enjoying it again, but I'm only going to do it if I enjoy it. I'm not going to do it because I feel like I have to, or society told me I'm not beautiful if I don't put makeup on, or if I don't, inject myself with something, or if I've gained a little weight, or I have cellulite or lines and wrinkles or gray hair or whatever it might be. I really feel like this is going to be a topic that women are going to be, and men who support the women will be very passionate about in the coming years as we really move into more of just a natural state of being, but coupled with, the Pluto and Aquarius, where, like you said, technology is king and it's centered around AI. And I've definitely read a lot about that, but I think we're going to see like two different schools of thought on that. I think we're going to see people moving into homesteads and having communal, like where people live together and raise their children together. I've seen that for years. And then we might have the other side who's like all AI. And I think it might honestly be like, I mean, I hate to say this because this is division and this is splitting humanity, but it might be like we have to go there before we can come back together. I don't know.
Well, I think, it's going to be really interesting because where 2023, so much is happening. I mean, March is a very active month, but we also have a lot happening through the rest of the year. And one of those things is the nodes of the moon are moving from Taurus, Scorpio to Aries, Libra. So Libra is a Venusian sign, and it's very much about beauty. It's also very much about balance. And so the way that Libra learns and comes into balance is through the extremes. So if we see extremes and we see what quote unquote seems like more division in the world, this is the natural evolutionary process of going from one extreme to the other. Like, I've noticed that there's a lot of relationship coaches out there that talk about feminine, masculine polarities and like submission and surrender of female versus male and all of this stuff. And so it's just like we're swinging, like we're going like this. We're like swinging from one side to the other. And so it's just a natural evolutionary process. At some point, we will balance. At some point, and there are those of us that are working on the balance.
Yeah.
At this point, we're working on the balance. So
or within ourselves first.
Within ourselves, and that trickles out. So the only thing that we could truly be responsible for, because when we go back to the Pisces energy, this is the collective sphere. There is no I. It's right. All of us, right? Yeah. And so the Virgo aspect is like, okay, about purification. And so when we purify our human vessel, our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies, and those are all separate layers of ourself, and then we can embody that universal love energy that changes the collective sphere. So the more that you could do within yourself, the more stuck emotions that you could release out of the body, out of the physical and emotional body, the more conditions and thought forms and programming you can release out of the mind. You're purifying your vessel so you can embody more of your spirit, your soul, this essence that is all of us, that is one entity. You know what I'm saying? And that spreads. So the only person, and Saturn is about self-responsibility. The only person you could be responsible for is yourself. So we are really being called to take responsibility for our piece of the collective pie. And it's not your karma, or my karma, or their karma, or his karma, or her karma. It's all of our karma. Yeah. Like when things happen in the world, it goes, or when we do something, it goes into the collective unconscious, and we're all responsible for that. And so by taking responsibility for what's present, Virgo, present in our now moment, we are then able to heal that collective sphere. So we're really being called in this Saturn and Pisces cycle to take responsibility for ourselves and our piece of the pie. If you're rotting, if you're in dis-ease, because we're going to see a lot of disease, a lot of mental health issues on the rise, a lot of emotional health issues on the rise, a lot of really a lot of projection, a lot of
Mm.
feelings of loneliness, isolation, depression, mental health disorders. We're just going to see all of that. We're going to see a lot of death. We're going to see a lot of increase in maybe suicidal ideations or suicides. Like we will see this.
Well, we're already
But
seeing that with some of these famous male figures that have. There was a country singer, not Carrie Underwood, but I can't think off the top of my head. She was on American Idol or something, but her husband just committed suicide. I think he was 45, and we had Twitch earlier this year, or last year, but we're going to see a lot more of this. And it's interesting how, I mean, we're not really hearing about the women, it's the men committing suicide. So I find this really interesting. And, I kind of trace it back to the masculine energy purging, or the masculine energy maybe coming to terms with the way that it's handled, the feminine. So I think that's going to play out also. And I think the reason why, the reason why we had the twin flame label, or the twin flame energy, and why so many of us were drawn to that, well, because it was like we could look outside of ourselves and say, oh, it's your fault. Not taking account, oh, it's your fault. And I'm totally guilty of that. Oh, you did this, you did that to me. And recently, over the past year, I've been stepping back and realizing, like, alchemizing the anger, alchemizing the experience, alchemizing the rage, alchemizing the confusion, the fear, all of that, and realizing that all existed within me. So even though I wouldn't have chosen physically the path that he chose, and don't have the addictions that he has, I could see, like, the physical person that I identified, I could see that exists within myself, or I wouldn't have attracted that. And that was really hard for me to accept. And I think it's really hard for most people and I know that because of the way the messages triggered people when I came out with my truth. They were like, like, you're a witch. Like, how dare you say that? And people didn't like how I said it, or when I said it, or what I was saying. People didn't like it. And some people loved it. Some people were like, yes, someone's finally speaking her truth. But I think ultimately it was having to recognize, and I'm still on this path of having to really take accountability for myself and my own masculine energy versus the projection onto somebody else. He's just a person, he's just another person. And maybe he held that energy for a period of time, but he no longer does. So it's like reclaiming that energy, pulling it back in, which makes you stronger, which makes you more courageous, which makes you more stable, and no longer giving that power away, to the point where, if he were to stand in front of me today, I would be able to have a conversation with him, but that draw, like that need to be with him or end up with him, is not there anymore. And it's just not. Like, maybe we can be friends. Maybe one day, who knows? Will I end up with him? It's totally possible, because anything's possible. But there are so many other paths that are totally possible as well. And I think accepting that and opening up to that while healing yourself is ultimately what we're headed towards.
well, it's the unknown space, right? So like
Right.
people as humans, we crave and seek security. We've been
Sure.
conditioned to seek security. We've been conditioned to have things that we can hold on to that are that give us that sense of security. So in the example of this twin flame paradigm, we attach to the idea of the twin and that person being our one and only. Okay. And that gives us a sense of security, of deep security. And so at first that could be really empowering. It's like, oh, well, this is part of my awakening, and now I'm going to explore all these things and learn about myself and like delve deep into my healing. But at some point, every attachment, everything that we hold on to for security becomes disempowering.
Sure.
And so Pluto is like always challenging us to evolve, to evolve, to evolve. And that evolution requires to let things go that are emotional and psychological attachments that are ultimately disempowering in the moment. And so what happens to our ego, our human selves, we become very afraid. We become very, we cling, because it's like, no, but that's what I believe. That was my truth. That's what I thought. That's like, the thing that I need.
Or even
And it,
claiming that, like, that was my person, that was my plan,
right, like that was my
my
purpose
soulmate.
on this planet, right?
Right.
Like all of these
Yeah.
things, these belief systems, these truths, these the person, all of this, we're like attached to it. And it's so it becomes very difficult to decondition ourselves, to let it go, to grieve it, to be like, and now what? Right? And now what? So we're in this now unknown space. And this is exactly Saturn and Pisces. It's like the now what and being comfortable with the now what not being answered. Like being comfortable in that liminal space, being comfortable in
For
that unknown,
anyone who's
having
just
faith
joining.
in the path,
Yeah.
having
Acceptance, faith.
acceptance for where you are right now,
Yeah. And
grieving that loss, because there's a lot
yeah,
of loss about that. Your identity becomes, I'm a twin flame. This is my path. This is my
sure.
purpose. And so like you build an identity on that. And
Yeah.
so it's not just one thing, it's very complex. And to the human psyche, it's very complex. And so I think that the theme of Saturn for me is like being comfortable in the uncomfortable, like being comfortable in that uncomfortable place, because it's not comfortable to be in the cosmic sea, in the void, and not in
No,
the unknown,
it's
because
not.
it's just not. And we have this Chiron and Aries that's showing us that we're wounded in our self-agency. We're wounded in our confidence and our personal power. We're wounded where we could take action with courage and leadership and pioneer a new direction, right? Pioneer something new. And as soon as, because the reason why we're wounded in that is because as soon as you take a new step in a new direction, the mob comes after you. It's like,
Yeah.
no, that's not how it goes.
Yeah.
We want to be accepted by the group, that Aquarius energy. We want to be a part of the group. But the higher version of Aquarius, which is Pluto is moving into Aquarius, going to take us to, is, or going to make available to us, is, can we all be unique and individual in our unique and individual paths with our unique and individual perspectives and our unique and individual gifts that we can contribute to the group and be valued for that? Uranus and Taurus. Can we be valued for our uniqueness and our unique journey and path? And can we value our own unique journey and path? So this is all like amazing conversation here that we have going on. I love it.
So we're gonna actually expand this conversation. We're gonna offer a webinar, and because there's just so much to talk about just this month alone. I mean, we still have Aries season to talk about. We still have the new
Eclipses.
the what?
So in Aries season, we have 2 new moons in Aries. One on the equinox, which is very rare. This is the astrological new year. We have a new moon at 0 degrees. So that's big.
Mm-hmm.
2 days later, Pluto moves into Aquarius for the first time of 5.
For the first
Then,
time since I think 1887, I believe.
yes.
I mean, so think about that for a minute. This is energy that we haven't had on this planet for hundreds of years, centuries. This is major. So remember that you signed up for this. Like we signed up to be here right now, to go through this, to still be alive, to have made it to this, this far. We didn't make it this far to just make it this far. And I think
And
that
then
that's
we're going to have our first Aries eclipse in Aries season. At 29 degrees of Aries will be a solar eclipse. So there'll be 2 new moons in Aries season. So this is big.
it's
A lot
big.
of big stuff happening. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so much to cover. So we wanted to come on because, like I said, I don't think we've done a live on this channel. So we wanted to come on and spend some time with you guys tonight. But we are going to offer a webinar, and I will share that information in a video over the course of the next few days, and also I'll share it in the community tab. I'll share it below this video. But we are going to talk in much greater detail. We'll spend a couple hours with you guys in the webinar and be able to answer more questions. Maybe look at what's going on with you, just like kind of like a little mini reading for those that are interested. So we could go on. This could be like a 4-hour long video tonight. I mean, there's just so much to share, and there's so much expansion and possibility for success as we step into our power And another message that's coming through is gratitude. So being grateful for where we've been and where we've come from, so that because it's like, if we're not grateful, or if we're not able to really appreciate where we've been, even though it's been hard as hell, how are we supposed to invite in more? If it's like the universe is like, well, she's not great, like maybe there's still a lesson here to be learned. So practice gratitude through this week as we shift. You guys are, I mean, we're going to feel this. It's happening in 2 days. We are going to feel this full moon. If you haven't already, you're going to feel it. You're going to sense it. Others around you, even if they don't know what's going on, even if they don't believe in any of this, they're feeling it. It doesn't matter if they believe in it or not. They're still experiencing it. So, be mindful of conversations around the full moon. As Saturn switches signs, be mindful of yourself. Take that self-agency. And we're just, a few days away from Aries season. So there's just so much to cover. So we'll give you guys that information. And if you're really interested and you just want to sign up right now, email me at theenergeticrebel@gmail.com and we'll get you signed up. And we will see you guys then. And for anyone watching the replay who didn't get to attend live, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and we'll be sure to answer them, either Tara or myself or both of us. So
you could follow me on Instagram too. I post a lot there. I'm gonna start posting more on YouTube as well, but it hasn't happened yet.
Well, we haven't really been supported. There's been so many times I've wanted to come on. I was just telling Tara, I wanted to come on and share things of what I'm experiencing, but I just didn't have the energy. I just didn't have the clarity. I couldn't speak. I didn't know how to formulate what I was experiencing. There was just fogginess. Like even tonight, just completely blacking out and losing track of time and having no idea where I went.
So Saturn's been in my 12th house for 3 years. I feel like the last 3 years have been in like a cosmic sea. Been in a fog.
But like a black sea out in the middle of nowhere.
I have no idea what even, like when I reflect on it, I'm like trying to reflect on the last 3 years. I'm like, I don't even remember. Like, I don't even know what happened. Like, I feel like I lost an entire 2 years just like that. Like, I'm
just I think, and I know there's people out there who had the Saturn transit in the 12th house. And there's going to be people going through, think about this. There's going to be some of our followers that are going through their Saturn return. That's going to happen with this transit.
We could do a whole talk on Saturn and like Saturn through the houses and Saturn returns. I'm having a Saturn opposition. So like my Saturn's in Virgo. My sun is also a Saturn in Virgo. So like we are going through this like integration of these Virgo Pisces energies with our Saturn. So it's interesting. It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And then the Saturn in Gemini Sag, people are going through squares. So
that doesn't sound enjoyable so much, but I'm really hard on Saturn. So listen to Tara. I'm like, Saturn's my bitch at this point. Saturn, I'll tell you something, guys. Saturn, what happened last year, for those of you who are following me from last year and my first channel, Energetic Rebel, is I didn't have a choice in the matter. I was like, I can't do twin flame stuff anymore. This doesn't, not that I don't believe in it, because who knows, anything's possible. It's that I didn't align with it. And it was to the point where it was painful. It was physically affecting me, emotionally affecting me, spiritually affecting me. I'm like, I have to step off of this journey. And I said, I'm going to be alone doing this. And this is before I met you, Tara. And I said, I'm going to be alone doing this. I'm going to get hate for this. But to me, there was no other way. I didn't see another way out, because I felt like if I continued along that path, it was just going to continue crumbling. And that's what happened. It was crumbling underneath me. Like, like a cartoon or something, and you see like the bridge crumbling. That's what was happening underneath me. I had no choice. So when that happened, I was like, well, I can either surrender and just rest and reset my nervous system from being in fight or flight for eons, or I can fight it. And fighting it didn't work. Yeah. I didn't have that strength. I was exhausted. So I just surrendered, full stop surrender, and was like, well, this is happening. And there's nothing I can do about it. And that's Saturn's energy is if you surrender, if you lean in, if you trust, if you have faith, something beautiful will come from that, but you're not going to be able to see it. He's not going to give you a glimpse of it. He's not going to be like, this is the reward you're going
Well,
to.
it's very spiritual, those things, and it's
Right.
about resilience. Like Saturn wants us to be resilient. You are harder on Saturn. I love Saturn because in my chart, Saturn is very grounding for me. Thank God Saturn's in Virgo because I'd be in the forest with the fairies with all this Pisces energy and Cancer energy and Scorpio energy. I swear. So like, I'm very grateful for my Virgo planets and Saturn being one of them. So
I'm trying to think of, I don't remember off the top of my head where Saturn is, but yeah, I'm curious. But Saturn, yeah, I don't know. Saturn's, I think it's a tough energy for me in my natal chart. And just a lot of tough lessons, but a lot of people experience that. But I'm always grateful. Like if I think back to my first Saturn return, at 28, 29, I'm grateful because I came out on the other side of that and became an adult and matured. So I'm grateful for it. But it's almost like, give me a little bit of time. Ask me in 6 months, Tara. Like, ask me in 6 months. Let's have this conversation of how do I feel about Saturn being in my 8th house? And I'll have a different answer, a different story. I need some space from Saturn being in my 8th house. And I mean, my website is down. Like it took everything.
because you're still like right now, you're still in the rebirth. You're not.
Yeah.
Because 8th house is about death, rebirth. So you've gone through a lot of death, rebirth cycles in 3 years, and that's and with Saturn there, it's like trying to expand us, like trying to expand our resilience to whatever the theme is. And 8th house is an intense, energetic place for Saturn.
Yeah, that's like an understatement of
resilience to let go of anything disempowering, of all those psychological and emotional attachments, of the death and rebirth process, and
of the identities of, I thought I was this channel. I thought I was, Lunar Goddess Tarot. I thought I was a twin flame. Like, I thought I was these things, and they were all literally stripped from me. And then to the point where the person,
is about pulling the rug out from under you.
To the point where I ended last year, just like basically finishing out my Saturn cycle with the person I identified as a twin getting remarried, and I was like, well, shit. Like it was at that point that I was like, all right, this is my absolute full stop surrender because nothing makes sense. And like you said, the twin flame, that whole thing is it's a mind fuck. And I'm like, I'm not going to make sense of this in my mind. So I'm just going to stop trying. And now I'm in a space of so much more peace with that most of the time. But it's like everything I thought I needed to survive or to be okay, not everything, definitely not everything, but many things in that 8th house energy were stripped, were like totally being transformed. And anybody else with Saturn in the 8th house energy, maybe Saturn's moving into your 8th house, maybe it was in your 7th and now it's moving into the 8th house of Pisces. It will test you. Now, for me, the first 2 years were actually pretty great. It was the last year that tested me to my core. It saved everything up to the last year, and it was like boom. And from my housing situation to my career to how I make money to how I put myself out in the world. So Saturn is no joke. I mean, he's a taskmaster. That's how he's known. He's a taskmaster planet. He will whip you into shape. And again, there's no fighting it. So like my best advice is don't try to fight Saturn. Just understand that he's reforming you, reshaping.
Yeah, and from a Saturn in the 12th house experience, which is very relevant to Saturn in Pisces collective energy, because Pisces rules the 12th. So all of us will be going through this quote unquote 12th house energy. So mine had an Aquarius flair to it, but it was still Piscean energy. I mean, it was consistent loss from the moment that Saturn entered Aquarius in April of 2020 through the 7th. I'm sure this week we'll have another surprise of some, but it has been a consistent loss. Like things that do not serve your identity moving forward. And my my identity, my first house, my self identity, the way in which I'm supposed to be in the world is this very spiritual Piscean energy. So
Mm.
it has been about spiritual mastery for me, and a lot of patience, forgiveness, understanding, compassion for myself first and foremost, and then for others, and for my path, because it's really trying when you're in so much, whether it's eighth house Plutonian energy. I had a lot of Pluto transits at the same time. So I had a lot of eighth house Plutonian energy happening for me, since Pluto has been square my Venus and oppose my moon. So it's been a lot of ripping away and transformation and being in this liminal space and just getting comfortable with the unknown, and getting comfortable with going deeper and deeper and deeper within myself, but also really powering up that Virgo energy with all of my health practices, all of my mental and emotional health practices, the meditation, the yoga, the therapy if needed. I did that in the beginning of Aquarius, Saturn and Aquarius, a lot. And then all of my physical health practices to heal my adrenals from like all of the change and the drastic movement. So I do feel like we are an acceptance of every emotion. You pull that acceptance card, and it's like,
Yeah.
and you also talked about the repression of anger, especially as a woman, but and you talked about men and the masculine energy. We have all suppressed our emotions. Like, what we've experienced in this world, in this society as it has existed for a very long time, is a repression of emotion. And that has been generational. And this is going to come from deep in the unconscious, this Pisces energy, and be like, all this repressed emotion, now what do we do with it? We need to release it. We need to do something with it. We cannot bring it with us into Saturn and Aries. We cannot bring it with us into this new cycle. So this is this time. That's why I say. And so what helps with these releasing of emotion is getting support of self-improvement, of health, of getting therapy, of doing whatever practices are good for you. Daily physical, mental, and emotional practices. So that Virgo energy is really important to integrate. And it has been important for me, that sixth house energy, to really integrate into my life. So it has been a lot of huge learning experience. And I think collectively, as we experience this together, we're going to see this stuff in the world, and it's not to be alarmed. It's not to be in fear about it. It's just to know that this is part of our cycle. This is part of the patterns. This is part of the evolutionary process that we're in right
It's
now.
intense, guys. It's intense. You know what I've noticed? I'll part on this note. I've noticed my sense of humor coming back. It's been really nice. I've also been around people I love, and I'm quite isolated where I live. So coming back home, it's like I've been, spending time with my nephew and friends and seeing people, and I'm like, it's like the real me. Not that I'm not the real me, but when I'm alone so much, it's like it's just you, and your energy is contained in that space. And so it's like that playfulness is coming back online, which really I felt like was lost. It was very scary because it was like, that's okay, that's a part of me, like my playfulness, my joy, and my sense of humor and silliness. And so, if that's been lost, if you felt stuck in any way, we're getting really unstuck now from things that maybe, like, yeah, it was a mechanism for survival. Really, I felt like we were in the past 3 years, we were in survival mode. So we're healing our adrenals. I've noticed also weight shifting, like from day to day. So that's back. That kind of evened out for a while. Now it's like all of a sudden I'm like 5 pounds heavier, and then I go back and I'm like, what? So we're definitely, still in that
I
process.
feel like every day the body's shifting.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't fit in my clothes, and then the next day everything's great. And then so it's like not knowing what to expect, but again, not attaching to an outcome, not attaching to the weight, not attaching to the number, not attaching to the way your body looks, and having to really surrender. And yet, I've noticed changes in my face, which is interesting. So I feel like that's shifting again, and it's like it's just so interesting to watch this process through, and also adding in natural aging, that everyone's aging, we're all aging. If you're alive, you're aging, but like that process coupled with the ascension process, and it's like some parts of me I feel like, wow, I've really like, it reflects that I've gone through this process. And other parts of me, it's like, oh, I look younger in that aspect. So again, we're just moving and shifting and changing. And so don't be too hard on your body. Don't be too hard on your face, on yourself. If you want the chocolate chip cookie, fucking eat it. Like seriously, we need what we need, and listen to what your body needs, because your needs with food will be shifting also during this time with that, especially that Virgo energy. So just allow yourself to intuit, I guess would be the right word, what you need. And we will, like, to be continued. We have much more to say. And so again, if you want to join the webinar, we'll put information. I'll post it below the video. Give me like a couple hours, or give me until tomorrow, and then I'll release it also. But if you guys are interested, and if you want more of these talks, let us know. The full moon and new moon talks, but it's so much more than that. We've talked about so much more than the full moon. It's like it's a whole recap of the astrological energy, the astrological forecast. So it's really like a forecast. But we really enjoy doing these, and we wouldn't be here if we didn't. And we enjoy being able to communicate with you guys and go live, because then it's like we're here in real time. You can ask us questions, and we can, really interact and communicate in that way, which is really nice. So let us know. And anything else, Tara? You good?
Good, thank you.
All right, guys. So enjoy your night, and I think that's it. That's it for now. To be continued. To be continued. And have a beautiful night, guys. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, Serena.